Today's seminar is about professional networking. And you can see in the speaker part, you will see every participant and also the Zeribe Nwosu Foundation team members. All of us will be involved in today's seminar because it's about networking with one another, although there will be an introductory conversation before we can get into action on that. So I'll be moderating everything from beginning to the end, and hopefully we'll have a wonderful conversation and also a wonderful networking so that we can have something to go home with and be able to continue working on after the seminar today. So before we proceed to the actual networking, I just want to give you overviews. What we normally do during Zeribe Nwosu Foundation seminar series for every month, we normally share a link to a Google form for people or potential participants who use to sign up to the seminar. That helps us to get the number of participants who signed up to attend and also get some information about where these participants saw the announcement and also how many of the Zeribe Nwosu Foundation seminars they have participated, over time. So you can see the graph or the pie chart on the screen. That is a question where we asked potential participants where they heard about the seminar. We know we shared it across several social media platforms, WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so many other ones. And some people shared with friends as well. So you can see majority of those who signed up to this professional networking today were from the Zeribe Nwosu Foundation Telegram group, which is expected because we have, I think, almost 1,000 members in that group. And that is followed by those who said, okay, we saw the announcement through WhatsApp. But generally, you can see almost the different social media platforms are represented in this, which shows we are really doing a nice communication job. We also asked the question about how many of the seminars each of the potential participants have attended. And in the 90 responses we received, the highest number actually said, no, we haven't participated in any of the seminars. So yeah, that is really lovely. At least today they will know a little more about Zeribe Nwosu Foundation and also network with each and every one of us at the end of this introductory section. But at least a majority, not majority, about a quarter of those who signed up said, okay, we've attended 1 or 2 seminars. And some people even said they've attended more than 5, which is a very, very nice testimony of what the seminars has been able to deliver. And we are very, very glad to see those. And also, just a new thing I want to mention, some of you do find the foundation through the website as well. We've been using a previous website, which also contains a personal profile of Dr. Zeribe Nwosu. And at a time we felt, okay, we need to separate these websites to have a foundation website and also a website just for Dr. Zeribe Nwosu to avoid conflict of interest. And we've been working on that for a while, and I can announce we now have a new website for the Zeribe Nwosu Foundation, which is www.znwosufoundation.org. It's actually a fantastic website, which is easy to navigate. If you're able to find the website, you will see this landing page, which tells you welcome to Zeribe Nwosu Foundation websites. And if you scroll down, you will see so many other information. However, it also have some navigation panels, seminars. So if you go to seminars, you also have a landing page for that, which will give you a little bit of information on the seminars we do, the different seminars that have been done in the past, and those that are scheduled to happen in the future. If you click on mentorship, you will also get information about the mentorship initiative of the Zeribe Nwosu Foundation and what the foundation has been doing so far in that regard as well. You can find the team member, the administrative team of the Zeribe Nwosu Foundation when you click on the ZNF team. You can also contact us through this website, although I will also share other contact details at the end of this brief overview. So just to show you what our professional networking will look like today, in the first instance, Dr. Zeribe Nwosu will give just a short presentation introducing what networking is all about. After that, we'll have some breakout rooms where different people will be randomly assigned to different breakout rooms to give them that opportunity to network in a smaller group. So we call that practical because sometimes it's easy to talk about networking, but actually putting it into practical could help. And then we'll have discussion where everyone will be welcome to contribute, ask questions, provide recommendation, bring their opinion. If you want to critique anything, you're also welcome to critique because we want feedback and also some sort of evaluation to help us improve in what we do in this foundation. I just want you to know that to think about networking events as a marketplace. So if you've joined this networking this evening, just take it you are already in the marketplace and understand that people do not just go to the market empty-handed. So they come either to buy or to sell. So have in mind there is something you're bringing to the networking this evening, and there is also something you expect from someone you want to network with. So it's a two-way traffic, it's a win-win. When we did, I think, basic biology, there is what we do call that mutualism, give and take. So it is about exchange, give and take. So get ready to go into that, and hopefully it will be beneficial. So thank you for listening. We do have a different places you can contact us through the email. We've got 2 email addresses which you can contact the Zeribe Nwosu Foundation through. You can also visit the website and use the contact tab to reach us. You can follow our Facebook page as well. You can join the Telegram group using this link as well, or you can visit the YouTube channel where we share previous seminars, videos of previous seminars that have been edited and curated to ensure, easy understanding of the presentations. So thank you everyone who has joined us this evening for this networking, or I would say mid-year networking, and hopefully we'll all benefit from that. Thank you everyone. Once again, I'll hand over to Dr. Zeribe Nwosu, who will then continue to give the initial overview, and then we go to the breakout rooms and take it up from there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chief Ukpai, for really that insightful overview in many respects.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we are making progress largely also because of your contribution. So thank you very much indeed. Give me 1 second. Let me pull out my screen. Right. So we have already seen this slide, these flyers in several places before now. And I want to believe that some people in the audience may have wondered, what sort of topic is this? Why is this an important topic? for us to have a presentation on. You may know that the Nwosu Foundation focuses on what we believe to be important elements to be successful in your academic career, and not necessarily the things that are discussed or made subjects of discussion in an academic setting. So we are not going to be teaching people elementary biology, what is osmosis, and those sort of topics. But we believe that these tiny skills or additional information that are actually, in most instances, not emphasized in the universities are perhaps the most important for you to be able to succeed in your career. And we say that based on experiences that we have gotten across board. Right. So this is going to be a very short presentation on networking do's and don'ts. I think it is obvious that networking has become a big topic. Nowadays, people actually think it is more of a social media thing. But we have sort of divided this into two, one section on networking in person and also social media, because these are two separate ways we can network. And as I have it on the screen, networking can be in a public place. It can be in a private residence, for example, residence. It can be, for example, that, your friend came home with a friend. Let's put it that way. So this is an example of where this can happen at home, right? Your friend came home with his or her friend, and you don't know this other person, and then you have an opportunity to talk to them. You're meeting them for the first time, and it could in fact become a platform for you to get to know them more, and maybe that can evolve into something very serious. Let's say, for example, that you collaborate or build any sort of relationship from that point. So it can be also that you meet somebody on the elevator, you are going to somewhere, and I have personally met a lot of people and started conversation with them, just going from the first floor to the 6th floor of where we are at the cancer center. And that can just be that short discussion that leaves that person with some impression. And from that time onwards, they want to reach out to you to know more about what you do. And it can be in a marketplace. Chief Ukbai used the market as a very good example in his analogy, and I think that's a very good one. But in fact, it can't just be anywhere you meet people. It can even be where you meet people in an emergency situation. Like in Nigeria, for example, it's very common that you're traveling from Abuja to the east, and you stop over at Kogi. There's this place where there's a place where people usually eat. That can also be a very, very powerful place to network with someone. So what do we think are the things you should do when you meet people? So I'm just going to summarize this. When we have discussions later on, people can give additional insight because you all have experience in some sort of networking, right? I think introduce yourself and mention your official name when you meet people for the first time. Don't do this. Don't give them your fake name or nickname. So you're meeting somebody for the first time, and some people are like, I'm not sure about this person, and you are, what is your name? Your name is Zeribe, and you're telling them, my name is Chijoke. It doesn't make sense. If you don't want to tell them your name, I personally would be very frontal. I would say, I don't want to disclose personal information, or I don't want to discuss, or anyhow you want to do it. But don't give people your fake name. This does not help nobody. Right. Be present and attentive, and make eye contact, and also, put on some smiles when you meet people for the first time, or even at any time when you meet people, to be honest, unless if there's a reason not to smile. But at least in that first meeting, you cannot just wear some very wary, very, very proud, sort of, if you like, very, very tired face, and you are pressing your phone. A lot of people do this. You're meeting somebody for the first time, you're talking to them, and you have your phone in your hand, and you're taking calls. It's very disrespectful, and people get the impression that you don't take them seriously. And I will not take you seriously if I get the impression that you don't take me seriously. That's just how it is. So don't lose an opportunity to connect with somebody, because of maybe telephone calls or chats that can anyway wait, especially with chats with people that you already have known for so long that are not going to bring you anything I'm not trying to say that some people are more important than others, but I'm just trying to say, in effect, you can, if you have known somebody for a long time, and this is a message that can wait, and you have a new person in front of you for a few seconds, you can give that person that tiny attention, and not, leave them with a very terrible impression. So on the alternative is what I just said. Don't be inattentive, pressing phone, or doing other things that are distracting. Be free to talk to people about their hobbies. I like to play soccer. For football, as we call it in Nigeria, for those of you that may have had the opportunity of talking to me or speaking with me beyond one or two interactions, that's the first thing I'll tell you. Saturdays, just leave it for me. I want to go and play football. But there are other things that I also like to do. I like to watch and listen to news and follow politics. So tell them about your hobbies and try to, sort of build in a couple of additional elements into it. Let it not just be one thing. That's what I said in the opposite. If you just tell them one thing that is your hobby, my hobby is just cooking. Take it or leave it. I might be somebody who doesn't like somebody who cooks. I don't know anybody who is in that category, but you never know. So if you bore them with one hobby, you may end up giving them the impression that you people's interests are not so aligned, and therefore you may not be the best person for them to spend time with, both professionally or otherwise. Now, always have a short version of what you do for a living or what you study. Zeribe, what do you do? We work on pancreatic cancer, and then I give you one or two additional lines, short. Or what did you study? Or what are you studying? I give again a short version. So the opposite, don't bore people with complicated details. Right? You want to show them that you know what you're talking about and you know what you are doing. But the problem is this is a very short interaction, and I want to know you. I want to ask you like 10, 15, 20 questions, and you are keeping me, literally holding me hostage by telling me all the details of, quantum mechanics for those who are studying engineering, all the things that I need to know, how you hold your, compass. And I don't care about these things, to be honest, really. And I'm just talking about from the perspective of someone you're meeting for the first time, or you don't know whether I care about them or not, right? So you keep me busy with things that I may not be interested in. And I'm wondering, is this how this person is going to, really, are we going to be able to talk about a broad range of topics, or are we just going to be talking about what he is doing in this way? So that can be scary. Feel free to ask people for their contact. You've met them, and you had an interesting discussion. You obviously think that you would like to know them more. So ask them for their contact, email address, or business card, or complimentary card, as we call it, also in Nigeria, or other kinds of information that you can use to follow up. So that is very important. Actually, I like to emphasize this point because this is how I came to this place. That's how I came to Michigan. So I met my supervisor in Spain, in Bilbao, in the city called Bilbao in Spain, in 2016. So it was in a translational cancer metabolism meeting in October that year. So he came to my post and we had a very interesting discussion about my work. And then I thought I liked the discussion. He didn't necessarily agree with the things that I said to some extent. And I disagree with also his perspective. And so, but it was an interesting exchange. And so at the end of that discussion, I said to him, do you have a complimentary card? He said, yes. And then I took his complimentary card from him. So the 2 years, a year, or let's say a year or so later, when I was finishing my PhD, and there was a lot of pressure from, let's say my friends, because everybody was moving somewhere. I was hearing somebody is going, this one is going to Duke, this one is going to Harvard for his postdoc. And I remember having a conversation with my mom, and she said, do you know where you're going next? I said, I don't know. I said, why? I said, no, I don't know, because I want to finish what I have at hand. I've not defended my PhD. It is only when I defend my PhD and have it in my hand before I will start thinking. He said, yeah, but other people make that. I say, I know. My friends are actually, some of them are already settled in terms of what they're going to do next. But I honestly don't know where I want. I know what I want to do, but I don't know where I'm going to do it. So after my PhD defense, I went back to my shelf and I was looking for, contacts I've collected from meetings and events. And I said, but I remember this guy that I met, and I took his complimentary card. Let me see if I can find. So I went specifically looking for his complimentary card. until I found it in a stack where I kept so many other papers. And then I said, okay, I'll write him an email. So I wrote him an email and he was like, oh, let's set up a discussion. Discussion happened the next day. Next time another email came, let's have a presentation where I will share, I do a virtual presentation and show people my work, what I've been working on. And we had that virtual presentation. From that point, we started talking about visa. That was how I came to this place. So it was a very smooth, I did not apply, I did not go to any place where they listed a job and then I applied and all of that. That complimentary card I took and kept was what brought me to this place. So it's very important. Now, the opposite of it is, don't feel the person should give you his or her contact or leave it. You have had a discussion with the person and you like the person and you feel like you may like to know the person and you're now waiting. If the person doesn't give you by chance or somehow ask, do you want to have my contact? The person may be thinking about something else. So you have to think about, what else can come out from this interaction beyond this point, right? So especially if you're talking to a more senior person, now we're talking about professional networking here. So a professor, he's not going to be the one to give you contact by himself. It could be, but that may not happen. So why don't you ask, can I have your contact in any form so that I can follow up? So let us not wait because that wait may just be too expensive, right? Focus on professional subjects, at least in the first meeting, even if the person forces the chat out of scope. So you are meeting somebody for the first time and they're coming up with some complicated conspiracies about something, you don't know exactly whether they're actually serious or they're trying to gauge your opinion. So you have to be very careful in that first interaction that you don't too much, say the wrong thing, thinking that you are, speaking with the right person in that regard, not knowing that probably the person is maybe an undercover person. So you have to consider these factors as well when you meet people for the first time. So the opposite is don't go gossiping, indulging in conspiracies or hearsay with someone you're just meeting. Take the initiative to meet the person. So we have gone to a place or in a meeting or we're sitting in a, and I see somebody and I feel like I like this person, or maybe I would like to know this person. You walk up to that person, right? Especially in a conference, some people usually when I go to conference, it was the case when I went to do my PhD time that most of the times when I went to a conference, including this one I mentioned where I met my supervisor, I went alone. So a lot of the times people go with their supervisors and members of the lab. But because I was working on metabolism, which was not the major focus of the lab, most often I was an outlier when I go to conferences. I will be the only person from my group. People are asking, oh, did anybody from your group come? I said, no. So I'm the only one. Out of 10 or 11 conferences I attended as a PhD student outside of Germany, 8 was alone. So when I go to those meetings, I am literally lonely. Especially also remember that these are meetings where you have predominantly Europeans, maybe 1 or 2 Black person is there also. So I am alone, but there was none of those meetings that I left without maybe knowing 4 or 5 or 6 or even 10 people. Because at some point I walk up, I know I have to walk up to people. Maybe they will not want to come to me for some reason, but I will walk up to them. And you realize that when you meet people, they are willing to interact and engage, and really they are very excited about you. So the opposite is don't wait for people to come to you. Again, depending on the context, this may not happen, and you will be the one losing out. Now, social media is the one I know many of you even know more than me, so I'm not going to get too much into details. I have just a couple of points here, then we stop, right? Reach out and be patient in waiting for a response. And we talked about this last week or so in a different platform where we had a presentation. Don't go writing people email, write email, call phone, write Facebook, write Twitter. I said, oh my God. Before you know it, I have messaged in 10 places from just one person. And I have seen the first message, because for somebody like me, I am almost always online. Any message that comes to my phone, I see it almost in real time. But there may be instances where I don't want to reply immediately. For example, maybe I'm in the middle of something, right? Or maybe I'm in a meeting. Then I don't want, or again, so even something like this, I'm meeting someone professionally. I don't want in that instance begin to reply to messages, but I have seen it, right? So you wait, be patient. Okay, take your time to prepare your first message to the person. It could be even on Facebook, it could be on LinkedIn, it could be on WhatsApp or email. Let your first message, let it be a little bit polished. Don't, start the first contact with lots of typos, with slangs, with jargons, with something like because you write BCOS, the way people usually, shortcut everything. And I ask myself, you are so lazy to write some words in full, right? In the first interaction, you're already giving away the impression that you're not serious, or you don't take the person seriously, or both. And therefore, that is not a good thing in the beginning. If you have known somebody well enough, and when you're not chatting with them, you can, be a little bit relaxed because you already know them. But in the first interaction, you don't know them. You are already speaking, using pidgin, and all manner of really. I've had interactions with people trying to chat me for the first time. It's almost impossible for me to read the message. I don't know what they're talking about and all the slangs they're using, and that can really scare people and give them a very wrong impression. You don't want to do that, especially in a professional setting. So keep it. That said, the next point is keep it professional. First interaction. The opposite of that is, don't go sending them all manner of messages, clips. You have just met them for the first time. The next moment, you are sending them links of groups they should join on this. You have group of, crypto. You have group of this, that, and then I'm asking myself, okay, what was the point? Was it that you really wanted to know me, or you wanted to just send me all these links and add me to these groups? And so that may send somebody a wrong impression. So again, I have friends that send me all manner of things, and I belong to groups. Let's say, for example, my alumni group, where people constantly post all manner of videos, and we comment on them and just move on. I personally don't belong into. I think I belong in total 4 or 5 groups altogether that are, let's say, more than 50 people. Because for me, it's beyond that to be a little too much. But anyhow, right? Keep it very simple in the first instance. Don't go sending them all manner of videos and links and stuff, and in that process, make them begin to feel that this was a mistake connecting with you, right? So that's pretty much the end of my presentation. But I want to leave us with one very important point, which is why this is occupying the entire slide. In all of your interactions, networking interactions with this person, especially in this first instance, but even beyond that, at some point, if you're mates, then certain things can be taken for granted, but you have not met this person before, you're meeting them in 1 or 2 instances. You try to, if possible, keep your views to yourselves, but also very importantly, respect their views and their beliefs. If they say that this is what they believe and this is what they think, don't try to force them to think the opposite of that, because again, that is something that may give them the impression that you are not willing to accept them, you are not tolerant, and you are not respectful. And all of those are going to make it difficult for you to get anything from that networking interaction. Right, so with that being said, I think we're going to get into a breakout room session, and the idea is to sort of interact with each other. Hopefully people are going to turn on their cameras, because I think we're very used to hiding behind the camera, but today we will see people's faces, I hope, right? And we will, in this breakout session, practice things like tell us about yourself, describe your career goals in 2 minutes, and then how you connect, what do you start with and how, and, also practice listening, because again, that's another important element that sometimes we don't have. Somebody's saying something and you're not listening, you're not paying attention, you are flipping your phone, you're doing all manner of other things. It is a very difficult thing to handle as a person who is on the saying side, and it gives the impression that, you just don't think that they are worth anything. And that may not be what you mean, but this may be how they interpret it. And at that point, you may lose them. So, Chief Ukbai, I think at that point, this is the end of my presentation.
While Dr. Zeribe is trying to set up the breakout rooms, there are just a few things I want to highlight from his presentation, so that we can take them to our breakout rooms. So from From his starting, he talked about different do's and don'ts, and also when you are doing with social media, especially in the past, where social media platforms were not that very common, most of the networking were mainly face-to-face. You know, you go to conference, you go to seminars, you go to workshops, you know, you bump into people, you want to talk with them, or you're walking on the way, you see this person you think you've met some time ago, you just want to catch up, like we do use, I want to catch up with him, you know, it's a form of networking as well, and different types. However, in our situation these days, online might be much more common than actually the physical one, which means we have to be prepared for both online and face-to-face. And most of the dues Dr. Zeribe mentioned can apply on both sides as well, and they don't also apply. Just to say something, I know for most of us, especially those who think they are, what do they call it? Melancholy, phlegmatics, or what have you, as they do describe it, can find networking as a painful and scary experience as well. It's not
Especially those
something
who are
people
introverted, people who
easily
say they're
do. So
introverts.
if you're introverts, like I mentioned, phlegmatics, melancholy, you know, if you're a choleric, you can be bold enough, you know, to talk and approach people for such a kind of discussion or networking. So it can be scary, but remember, you need to take those baby steps. It's the same thing like if you want to be a public speaker, you don't just wake up one day and face 1,000 people in a hall and try to make them smile, clap, and shout. You have it start from learning little by little, in which we call taking those baby steps. You know, if you look at babies, they start sitting, start crawling, and then they start putting small legs. So those baby steps will help you to get to where you are going, and also keeping onto. At least Dr. Zeribe has given you a testimony on how it has benefited him. And many of us have such testimonies as well.